Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. First leg is Michael to throw first. Game on.
Flawless gets us underway. MVG, can he start by putting his best foot forward? And yes, he can. That's what I expect. And Michael has played in Austria before, won in Austria before, but he's never played a home favourite in a final in Austria before. This is going to be a slightly different proposition. Get the feeling, though, the way that Michael has played this evening, Mensah is going to have to play his best game of this tournament.
Difficult semi-final for Michael van Gerwen to get here. 7-6 against Peter Wright, 13 holes of throw, but no doubt about it, one or two issues for Michael van Gerwen with regards to the board, the aerodynamics to some extent as well. So he's had a few things to address and try and put right in a relatively short space of time. Michael van Gerwen has not had as much breathing space as Mensah Suljovic, who came through his semi-final first against Vincent van der Voort. Do you think that will have any part to play?
Not really. I think the experience of both of these guys, they have been in this situation from both sides. You know, Mensah's won 2 European Tour titles anyway. There's enough experience on that stage that says to me they just take the time that they have to get ready, and then they just get on with it. I think it's important for Michael and for Mensah, those last few seconds, those last few minutes before they go through that black curtain downstairs, they're the most important. They have to switch on, they have to flick that switch in their brain to say, do you know what, it's game time.
Well, even though he was extended in that semi-final, Michael van Gerwen has lost only 11 legs this weekend on his way to the final, and he's won the opening leg of this one as well. 6-0 against Ricky Evans in the quarters, 6-3 against Jeffrey de Zwaan earlier today, 6-2 against Kyle Anderson yesterday. Suljovic himself has only dropped 12 legs so far, including 4 against van der Voort in the semi and 4 against Ian White in his quarter.
Funny thing is with the semi-finals, I know that Michael went all the way to the last leg, but he still looked like he was pacing himself for a potential final. I think there was a bit more emotion and a bit more effort from Suljovic to get here. He's going to have to ride that wave of adrenaline right now and all the way to the end, and that's exactly what he needed to get himself going, and this crowd.
133.
Well, no doubt Peter Wright will still be reflecting on a missed opportunity, because he certainly had his moments. I mean, he rattled in, I think it was 10 180s in the end, and he was clearly playing a Michael van Gerwen who was not totally settled on stage. But that's the measure of a champion such as van Gerwen, that he can come through those huge tests, those huge ordeals, and still come through with the win.
And it is confirmed now, of course, that that was a record for Peter Wright, the most 180s in a single match on the European Tour in its history. Has overtaken the record holder of 9, which was Daryl Gurney. So number 10, the first man to make it to double figures in a single match, is Peter Wright.
Well, that's a feather in his cap.
He doesn't need any more decoration
for him right now, I'm not so sure. Double 16 for van Gerwen, and almost in the blink of an eye, he's got a 2-0 lead here. The previous meetings don't particularly make good reading or indeed good listening for Suljovic and Suljovic's legions of fans here today. This is their 3rd meeting in a European Tour final. They met at the European Darts Trophy in 2016. Van Gerwen won that one 6-5 with an average of 107. And then again at the European Darts Match Play a year later, same outcome, 6-3. Van Gerwen again with a ton plus average. And they also met in the final of the European Championship 3 years ago as well.
96.
And Van Gerwen, well, blitzed Suljovic that day, 11-1 with an average of 111.
It
was all the ones for Van Gerwen.
That was an amazing performance.
It was breathless.
That was tough on Suljovic, because he'd just taken out Taylor, and that was, well, he said at the time that was the best game he's ever played, because he was beating his hero, and after that he just ran out of energy. But I remember that final in Mulheim when they played in 2016. We almost billed that one as the headbutt celebration against the right hook, and the right hook won that day. But that was the weekend where we had the headbutt celebration counter going, and we counted 22 headbutt celebrations, and he broke his own personal record of 4 in one leg.
Well, he's not had too much cause to employ that so far in this final, although there is an opportunity here for Suljovic to make a move. Van Gerwen with a below par visit.
He's got the right referee for the 127 in game.
65, men's car 127.
I've been encouraging Paul Hinks to actually see it again. Should be his calling card. Good switch from Suljovic. Really good recovery after that slight pull on the first start, but this would be a crippler. Good lie if he gets to 60.
He was nowhere near that treble 20. So a chance here for Suljovic to break back at 2-1, and double 16 is found with first start in hand. And the Austrian crowd have reason to believe once again. MVG, by the way, has won their last 5 meetings as well. 3 of them in the Premier League, 1 in the Masters earlier this year, and 1 in the European Darts Open semi-final earlier this year as well. 7-5 the score in that one. So wherever you turn, it's a very rosy picture for Michael van Gerwen against Mensur Suljovic.
If they were going to have some sort of sports personality of the year in Austria, where do you think Suljovic would rank?
Pretty high, I would have thought.
I would say he'd be pretty high. I mean, Bernd Wiesberg is a great golfer on the European Tour. He won in Scotland this year. He's pretty well known.
Yeah, I don't think Dominic Thiem would be threatening either, because he's had a bit of a disappointing year as well on the ATP Tour.
Yeah, he seems to have disappeared a bit since the French Open.
Well, he's still a top 10 player, but yeah, and he got to the French Open final, but he's not really been able to take that next step. I suppose he'd be a contender for it.
So are we saying that Suljovic is probably in the top 5?
Oh, certainly, yeah, top 3.
I think that's a good thing for darts to have an Austrian so well regarded. He's well respected worldwide. Big fish coming in. Not possible, only just around the post. Ooh, that was close. And this is a big shot. 2 darts apiece needed for each finish, but 3 darts required for this one for Suljovic. He's not going to get there. He may pay the price.
He may well just hand the initiative back here to Michael van Gerwen. Tops he wants.
I didn't think he was going to get that. The 17 shot was poor. The 18s wasn't convincing. The tops wasn't. But that's an equaliser from Mensur Suljovic.
Yeah, I've got to say, in that semi-final against Peter Wright, he was 7 out of 18 on his doubles. Never looked so convincing.
Trying to rack my brains for people who have won home titles in the PDC. Obviously, Max Hopp has won the German Open, of course. Michael van Gerwen has won numerous titles in the Netherlands. A home player has never won the Austrian Darts Open or this title because it's its first showing. A Dane has not won the Danish Open. And of course, a Czech player did not win in the Czech Republic, so we've only got the 2 of them. What a leg from Van Gerwen, at least 16 after 9. He's done it somewhat unconventionally. Use of the board. Wonderful 10 from MVG to retake the lead. What class, what skill. Suljovic is starting to speed up a little bit, and he's probably thinking I've got deja vu here because I was playing against Vincent van der Voort in the last game. Playing 2 best buddies in consecutive.
Well, Michael van Gerwen came into this tournament with £115,000 on the European Championship Order of Merit, the European Tour Order of Merit, I should say. So a win here in this final would take him to 140. Suljovic with 27,500 prior to this weekend.
93.
Getting pretty close to that million mark, isn't he, Van Gerwen?
Yeah.
For money on the European Tour.
Can't be too far away.
96.
Could well, at the end of this month, hit that million mark.
Yeah, the
If he
tournaments
goes
come
to all
thick
the
and
tournaments,
fast.
though. I get the feeling that if he picks up the title here and he was to win next week, he might duck out of Risa. Double 14. He's had problems there this weekend, Suljovic. You can see the frustration.
Yeah, I mean, he missed it 5 times in that semi-final. But Van Gerwen, we've said it time and time again this evening, his finishing is not quite there. There are doubts. You normally expect him to take those out, but this is giving Suljovic a lot of encouragement, and double 14 at long last for Mensur.
Slight mop of the brow with the Austrian sleeve. I don't blame him. It's been deceptively hot in here all day. And these players need a lot of credit for the way that they've played in this heat. It's not to the same level of the Czech Republic, I will say, because that was a different planet. But this is playable hot.
Yeah, it's a bit cooler today as well as far as the outside temperature is concerned, but there's a lot more fans in today, and they're generating a lot of energy and a lot of heat and a lot of noise as well for Mensur Suljovic.
Well, that nervous energy from the fans is going into the air, which is increasing the temperature, and they desperately want to see a home win here. But MVG's on full tilt, really. He's utilising that 19 section, which has been so kind to him in the last couple of days.
Mensur Suljovic, a man who has 5 PDC titles to his name, 2 on the European Tour. He won 1 in Riesa, he won 1 in Copenhagen in the summer of 2018.
134.
It seemed as though his name was on the trophy last year when he made the semi-finals in Graz, only to lose to Johnny Clayton 7-6.
Michael Van Gerwen's just done something that has crept into his game lately. He got away with the gamble on the treble 19. If he gets the single, he hasn't got to finish.
Once again, he's below that treble 20. There's the dip. He talked about this. He indicated there was some form of a dip on his dart in the aftermath of his semi-final, and once again he was looking at the treble 20 and he was way below.
He's been using them a long time. There's going to be a point with these darts where they're going to get to a weight which he can't use. He's using them pretty effectively in this final, though. Small signs that, and I've said this for a good couple of years, at some point he's going to have to use a new set. It could be next season. And I could be talking complete poppycock.
You never do that.
I knew a great dart player who played in the PDC called Graham Stoddart. He used the same darts for years and years and years. And they wore down so much that the middle part of the barrel was thinner than his stem. There has to be a point where you have to change those darts. No point changing for Suljovic, especially when you hit maximums. Still in with a great shout in this game. This is cat and mouse.
Yeah, this is a pivotal leg, you feel here. This is just after the halfway stage, and Van Gerwen is threatening another break of throw. The ton 80 from Suljovic is undone really there because he's only managed to put together 60. The average needs raising here for Suljovic. He's scoring in fits and starts, and Van Gerwen is just beginning to find a bit more consistency, although...
Peculiar that he went to the bullseye there because he had such a good life for the 171.
Although he's left himself 144 anyway. Inadvertent or not. I think it was inadvertent, but Van Gerwen.
He is using the board, the whole spectrum of the board, more than I've ever seen him do in the past. He's utilising 19s, 18s, 20s, 17s, bull. But now Suljovic straight up the middle. One right in the middle of that big 20, right in the bullseye of the 20 for tops. That could be the miss that gives Michael Van Gerwen that really good chance of getting a lead.
And Van Gerwen with that 1-2-8 approach with the treble 20 and the bullseye. He's been threatening that for some time now, and he's managed to execute it. And not only that, he's executed the finish as well. And he has a 2 leg cushion once again. Now, last time he was 2 up and he was pegged back to 2-2. He knows there is a lot of value here to just extend the lead and really step on the throat of Mensur Suljovic, and that is exactly what he's trying to do.
58.
Yeah, fine margins in great games, and one miss from Mensur, one hit from Van Gerwen, and all of a sudden
58.
can't see any way that Van Gerwen doesn't win this for me, especially when he starts legs on a 174. But the third leg in a row now he's left 269. May just be a coincidence. Bullseye now. Yep, 102 to leave 167. Let's see if he leaves 269 in the next leg as well.
But he's always conjuring up ways and means, isn't he, Michael Van Gerwen?
Oh yeah, leg structure. He's a big man on it. Likes to make things different.
And his 9-dart legs have been varied this year, 3 of them as well.
95.
Running out of time for a 9-dart leg in this Euro Tour event. We've had 4 though so far in 2019, but Michael Van Gerwen is looking good here for a 6-3 lead, and it would be very hard to see Suljovic clawing his way back from that. 72 required, 6 darts in hand. May only need 2, and Michael Van Gerwen is once again showing signs of intent here, and this is looking very ominous indeed.
Well, Michael Van Gerwen right now is in possession of the Mensur Suljovic and crowd mute button, because they are silent in here. They've got nothing to cheer about in the last 3 legs. They're trying, and as Michael Van Gerwen has thrown 44 darts for 3 legs, which is very solid. It's a dart over 100 average. Mensur just hasn't been able to live with him. Has he hit the wall?
60.
I mean, look at that, 24 darts to open up that 2-0 lead, and he'll be annoyed that Suljovic was allowed to steal a couple with 32 darts required.
139.
And then there was that 17 darter for Suljovic as well. But it's been all Michael Van Gerwen over the last 3 legs now.
This will get them going.
140.
That one winning the board a little bit more flight first.
Good 16 points in the averages here.
59.
Back on cue, Van Gerwen posts a 59.
MVG's average was 8 less than Peter Wright in the semi-final. Averages lie sometimes. Is he going to go for it? He probably shouldn't, but he might, just to get himself and the crowd going.
I think he might well do as well, and our spotter certainly anticipated that too. Not sure if Kyle Anderson is still on spotting duty. If he is, you've done a great job so far tonight, Carl.
Man of many talents.
Certainly is.
Single 9 for double 8 to win leg 10.
If this doesn't go,
17.
Van Gerwen
Michael, you require 95.
could well be in business. He's in the mood for this, is Michael Van Gerwen.
Left. Oh,
76.
he says Michael he did the right thing. He went for the open bit on the left-hand side, but he gave it too much power. And doppel zwei. Good lie that, just bounced it in.
6.
Too much power on that one as well.
19.
3 for double 8, I would imagine, here for Michael Van Gerwen for a 7-3 lead. Well, I'm staggered he's not taken that one.
He was not happy with the way that dart came out the hand. For a moment, I thought he was going 17 double 1. There it is, double 1. How often does someone win a leg against Van Gerwen on double 1? Not very often.
Oh, with 19 darts as well. Normally, Michael Van Gerwen does not give you 19 darts to win a leg. More points on the floor. That was a recurring theme of that semi-final as well.
It's the first time it's happened in this match.
Van Gerwen's average still over 101. Suljovic did actually come into this final with the slightly greater tournament average. Wasn't much in it.
96.
Even when Michael Van Gerwen misses treble 19, it looks in. That's how good he is. This is better from Suljovic. Needs more of that. He needs to sustain that sort of scoring power now to stay with Michael and just put the pressure on him. But it's a 1-3-3. So he's already thinking from 3-6-5. If he can get the 133, straight ton 132 out. That's what he's thinking.
Signs of life for Mensur Suljovic, however. Not done with just yet. Break of throw on the cards unless Van Gerwen can get his act together here.
102.
Oh, that's smart.
121.
Bringing in the easier finish of 130, trimming off the excess at the end, but he might not get a shot. Bull. He's within one, and everybody wakes up, including us. Oh, what a finish. Denies Van Gerwen a shot at the 130, which was expertly left. But Suljovic is alive and kicking.
Well, this final is starting to deliver. Just when it looked as though Michael Van Gerwen was taking charge, and just when it looked as though he was about to set up or create a 7-3 lead,
100.
Mensur Suljovic had other ideas. Back he came for 6-4, and there's the all-important break with a 1-2-1 checkout. And how much impetus will that give him right now?
58.
Boy, that's a hard-working 91 average. It really is. And all of a sudden, the first dart of Van Gerwen is just not good enough.
Well, he's having loads of...
It's forcing him to go to 19s, but his 19s have been so good.
He's having plenty of joy on the 19s. I just wonder whether he might as well just start there from the word go almost. I mean, you wouldn't rule it out because it has rescued him.
97.
He's used it more this weekend than anybody I've ever seen. He's going to need it again. And yet again he gets it. It's just a shame he can't finish 170 with 19s. Extraordinary accuracy on the green bit. Needs the lot, I feel.
Yeah, he needed at least 2 trebles there. And Van Gerwen 6 starts from here. Although he may well need more than that.
Well, that's just changed things, that treble-less visit. Because if Suljovic can find a minimum of a 60
that's a little bit awful.
segment here. Oh, that's big. That just asks a question. He needs a Suljovic miss if he wants to get the 7-5, but this is big. He may need the bull again, Suljovic. 18s. Gets the treble. 2 for 16s.
To get back on terms in this final. 6-6. 3 legs without reply for Mensur Suljovic. And it's game on here in Vienna. And Michael Van Gerwen, where have those treble 20s been?
Well, Suljovic has worked so hard to get level, but he's still got to break him. Michael Van Gerwen knows that.
Oh, 45 in response to the 180. And from the word go, Van Gerwen in the ascendancy in this leg, although he's undoing some of his good work here. Once again, the treble 19 is found.
I get the feeling that Van Gerwen takes leg 13. Maybe a twist in the tail if Mensur can get this to a last leg decider. Maybe the crowd will just bellow for a couple more minutes.
Well, there's been all this talk about Michael Van Gerwen not firing on all cylinders lately, despite the fact he's won 2 titles down under on the World Series. He would love to just quieten a few people with a Euro Tour title this weekend. Just to remind everybody, as if we need reminding, about who is the best player in the world.
95.
Okay, so Michael's left 88. You look at Mensur's score, he's thinking, right, it's got to be 140 here. 180 is exactly what I want. Right, the 1's off. So that's 170. Needs another 60.
81.
Doesn't get it.
Michael Carr, 88.
Double 16.
56.
Rushed that one. That one came up too quick.
A missed start at double 16 to restore his lead at 7-6. Suljovic has a monumental task here, though, with 150, but you would not put it past him. You would not put it past him. We've seen this already today. The 150 checkout on double 15 has been produced. But Suljovic could not find it, and Van Gerwen, as sure as night follows day, does find double 16, and he maintains the status quo. Mensur Suljovic, not once has he led in this final. He's gone close, he's been on terms, but Van Gerwen just produces the whip and gets his nose back in front once again in the closing stages here, the final furlong.
I'll tell you what, if Mensur Suljovic had taken out that 150, we would have played the last leg or two
We'd have
under
needed
the
a new
stars.
We'd have been playing under the stars.
Great leg from Suljovic. The fighting qualities he has shown in this final, just immense. He's in a great position. He got a bull here. Oh, it's a good leave.
Yeah, it's
a good miss.
Actually, that, yeah, it's left himself the 161.
Well, a
mistake
mistake on counting from Van Gerwen. He was banging on getting the 260s first, but he should have gone 18s first. 6 darts from 161 for Mensur. That's a lovely, lovely second dart.
105.
Yeah, good final dart, that.
They're going to leave 170.
125. Yep.
Trying to take the 4 off with a 19 and a 25. Does so. And he's ready in case Suljovic doesn't take tops. Tops for a last leg decider. It's 10s. Hang on to your hats.
Listen to the roar. Listen to the acclaim. The dream is alive here in Vienna. Euro Tour title number 3 for Mensur Suljovic is on the cards. Success in his homeland is on the cards. Glory in Vienna awaits for Mensur Suljovic, especially after that Van Gerwen opening visit of 42.
This is, make no mistake, the biggest leg of darts that has ever been played in the country of Austria.
And against a wonderful vocal backdrop, Mensur Suljovic threatening to deliver something spectacular here in this final leg.
The 60s have deserted Van Gerwen. The scoring is not there, and this is in the hands of the Austrian. If he wants this title, he may be 12 darts away. Van Gerwen can't get south of 400 after 6.
And Suljovic is compounding his misery. Van Gerwen is rocking here.
Great 140 from MVG.
Took a chance with that final dart and got it. My word, he needed that. But he's still hoping, he's still reliant on mistakes here from Suljovic.
Needs a 60 or a 57. What a 57 from Mensur to leave 170, and what a way it would be to win the title.
Hang on a minute though. Just hold your horses. Michael Van Gerwen makes his move. Devastating timing.
It's in your hands, Mensur. It no longer is. That's not in. He needs a treble, gets one. Needs a miss from MVG. Will he get it?
64 away. He wants the bullseye, and he hits the single 25. And the door is ajar here for Mensur Suljovic once again.
Oh, what does he do? Does he look at the 14s? He does. He's got 2 at the double 14 for the title. He's done it! He's won it! He's won on home soil against the world #1, the world champion, the dominant force that is MVG. And we get one more rendition of Der Kommissar. Vienna belongs to Mensur.
You couldn't have scripted that any better. Mensur Suljovic wins a European Tour title in his home city in front of his adoring fans, and he wins it on double 14. What a story, what a weekend, and what an outcome for Mensur Suljovic. Just look what it means.
Austrian Dart Championship 2019 heißt Mensur Suljovic!